The bees continued their hysterical behavior in the episode of 911 that aired tonight. During the launch party of a perfume, they invaded the event. Not only that, but they came together and produced this enormous cloud of bees. Because of this, it was difficult to fly through. A number of airplanes were involved in accidents after they unexpectedly flew into the bee cloud. The number of individuals killed by the bees was more than that of a natural disaster. Preliminary information regarding the bee cloud had not been communicated to the planes, or at least the majority of them. Athena would never have accompanied a prisoner aboard a plane landing at Los Angeles International Airport if they had actually done so. Dennis Jenkins was being escorted by her. He was the person who led to the death of her fiancé more than 30 years ago. Despite the fact that he had recently struck a deal with the federal government, individuals were now attempting to take his life. Jenkins had been jailed in the same cell as a person who trafficked people. Underage girls were recruited by the human trafficker with the purpose of being sold to powerful and practically untouchable men and women. He went under the name of Maxwell Fulton. To a great extent, he was shielded from harm. The time it took to apprehend him seemed interminable. When the federal government finally captured him, he had been incarcerated for a little over a year when he took his own life. Being incarcerated was not a pleasant experience for him. There was a pedophile in Fulton. On a regular basis, he was subjected to individuals who stabbed or beat him. Because Jenkins was there, he was able to survive one stabbing encounter. Jenkins was able to come to his aid in a timely manner. A few days were spent by Fulton in a medical facility. Upon his return, he quickly realized that he could put his faith in Jenkins to keep his secrets. There was never any inkling in his mind that Jenkins had been purposefully placed in the same cell as him in order to serve as an informant. Alternatively, the fact that his roommate is also a pedophile. Because Fulton believed that Jenkins could be trusted, he divulged all of his information to him. He provided his new friend with all of the names that were required by the federal authorities. After that, Fulton took his own life, and at this point, Jenkins was the only person who could assist the authorities in putting these powerful individuals behind bars. A prison in Arizona was where Jenkins was being held at the time. The transfer of him to Los Angeles was necessary. He consented to testify for the federal government upon the condition that Athena would accompany him to the courtroom. He was the target of assassination attempts. He had no faith that the typical police officer would not betray him. Because he is certain that she will carry out her duties, he chose the name Athena for her. By the time he was on his way out of prison, she had already prevented him from being kidnapped by a phony FBI agent. Due to the fact that she believed it would be simpler to safeguard him, she decided to take him on a flight. Prior to the bees messing everything up, everything was going according to plan. As a result of the bees' ability to cause such chaos in the air, two planes ended up colliding with each other. There were fragments of the second plane that became lodged in the first plane. This resulted in a hole being opened in the ceiling, which allowed the pilot of Athena's jet to escape. The co-pilot was also hurt in the accident. Athena was the only one who could save the day in this situation. She dialed the emergency number. Now she has Josh. Josh established a connection between her and the air traffic control system. The people in question have never before been confronted with a situation like to the bee apocalypse. The use of a simulator to assist Athena in guiding the plane into landing was the only way to provide assistance to her. Prior to this, Athena had never flown a plane. Her confidence in a simulator's ability to assist her was quite limited. They were similar to video games in that regard. They begin over after a collision, which is something that would never be possible in real life. Yet, Athena continued to give it her best effort. In addition to that, she had her friends talking on the phone with passengers at the 118. The passengers received assistance from the firefighters in treating some of their injuries. A young woman of teenage years had a broken leg. There was an elderly gentleman who suffered from an asthma attack. Jenkins even assisted in the treatment of a few individuals. There was also assistance provided to Athena by a young child who had a strong interest in airplanes. Athena was clueless. She had no idea what the devices were. In fact, the young guy did. He was of assistance to her in turning the plane around. Athena was concerned about the possibility of the child being traumatized by the landing of the plane, which was still a problem. It was then that he returned to sit with his father. Athena decided to make Jenkins her co-pilot aboard the aircraft. The life of a young woman had been preserved by Jenkins. A toothbrush and a lighter were the means by which he fashioned the shiv. On her, he carried out a relatively minor procedure. Her condition had significantly improved. It appeared that things were beginning to turn around when the plane started to disintegrate even worse. Jenkins inquired of Athena whether there was a person whom she had sufficient faith in to take possession of Fulton's black book. Jenkins had been informed by Fulton of the location where he had concealed it. Jenkins had been utilizing that as a means of escaping from prison, but now he is uncertain as to whether or not he should do so, even if they were able to survive the journey. He informed Athena of the whereabouts of the book. She made an attempt to tell Bobby. The phone that Bobby was using was shut off. His role on the television set was that of a consultant. They had a rule that required them to switch off their phones while they were on set. On top of that, Buck was calling Bobby, and his voicemail continued to be received by everyone. On top of that, Athena was getting into problems. The hour that was agreed upon between her and the prisoner was never met by her. The federal government was now claiming that they had made a mistake in selecting Jenkins as escort. They were making threats to terminate Athena's employment. They had no idea about the plane crash that had occurred. While everything was going on, Athena returned her attention to the young kid and asked for assistance. Jem is the guy's name. He was accompanying his father on his trip. His mother passed unexpectedly, and since then, his family has been taking trips to all of the places that she had always wanted to visit but never had the opportunity to visit. In the absence of Jem, Athena attempted to pilot the aircraft. She simply did not have the same level of knowledge that he did. Arriving in Los Angeles was the plane. The airport was receiving calls for firefighters from all over the city to respond to the emergency. Buck assured his friends that he would get back to them once he had Bobby in his possession. Buck made his way to the set. Bobby was informed by him about Athena. It was a rush to get to the scene. It was necessary for them to bring along an actor. Despite the fact that he was a method actor, he desired to watch actual action. To abandon him would have been a more time-consuming endeavor than to bring him along with them. So Bobby decided to bring him along with them. As the show came to a close, Athena performed cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, on the sole remaining genuine pilot that they had.